Good morning. Welcome to the 156th commencement of Seton Hall University. I am Dr. Joan Getty, Senior Associate Provost. Following tradition, we will begin our commencement program with the singing of the Star-Spangled Banner. Leading us in song this morning will be Mr. William Torres, summa cum laude graduate, Anthropology Honors Citation and University Honors Program, graduate from the College of Arts and Sciences. He will be accompanied by Mr. John Nowick, University organist and director of music. After the singing, please remain standing for our commencement invocation to be delivered by Monsignor James Caffone, Vice Chair of the Board of Trustees, member of the Board of Regents, minister to the priest community, and assistant professor in the Department of Religion. Now, please stand and join us in the singing of our national anthem.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. O divine Lord, you created us from nothing, and though we are but ashes and dust, you have chosen to share your life with us. From earliest years and all along the way, we have been longing to see this day. With many dreams inspired by you, now we believe they are coming true. Their baby birthdays made us celebrate, but now they are ready to graduate. Our daughters and sons, our sisters and brothers, you gave them to us so we can give them to others. Our classmates and friends, all sent from above to remind each of us of your heavenly love. This life seems so fast, it cannot last. Help us to learn as we live out our years that you will be with us to calm all our fears. Help us be servers and leaders for others, to spend our lives loving our sisters and brothers. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Thank you, Monsignor Caffone, Mr. Torres, and Mr. Nowick. Please be seated. As Senior Associate Provost of Seton Hall University, I am honored to serve as our Mistress of Ceremonies. First and foremost, I would like to acknowledge and thank the family and friends of the graduating class of 2013. Without your love and support, a good number of these students would not have had the resources, financial, emotional, or otherwise, to make it to today's ceremony. I now ask the graduates to rise and join us in applauding the families and other supporters of our students who are here today. Graduates, please be seated. Next, I would like to acknowledge our faculty and ask them to stand. These dedicated professionals have been responsible for making your time here one of growth and self-reflection, and for that we thank them. We thank our dedicated faculty for their unwavering commitment and service to our university. Thank you. And now it is my pleasure to introduce to you by name the members of our two governing boards who are present today. The Board of Trustees has the ultimate legal responsibility for Seton Hall University, and the Board of Regents makes the policies that govern the university. Seton Hall University would not be what it is today if it were not for the enormous investment of time, talent, and personal resources by the members of our boards. We owe them an immeasurable debt of gratitude. Please hold your applause until all our board members have been introduced. First, I would like to introduce His Grace, the Most Reverend John J. Myers, Archbishop of Newark, Chair of the Board of Trustees, and President of the Board of Regents. Monsignor James M. Cafone, Vice Chair of the Board of Trustees and member of the Board of Regents. Ms. Pamela M. Schwartzberg, Secretary of the Board of Trustees. Monsignor Joseph Riley, member of the Board of Trustees, as well as Rector and Deacon of the Immaculate Conception Seminary School of Theology. Father Mark O'Malley, member of the Board of Trustees and Rector of the College Seminary. Dr. An Suk Cho Lee, member of the Board of Regents. Mr. Robert Boodleman, member of the Board of Regents. Mr. Richard Mandelbaum, member of the Board of Regents. Mr. James Orsini, member of the Board of Regents and President of the Seton Hall University Alumni Association. And our University President, Dr. Gabriel Esteban. Allow me to introduce you to the university deans. Dr. John Bushman, Dean of University Libraries. Dr. Phyllis Hansel, Dean of the College of Nursing. Mr. Patrick Hobbs, Dean of the School of Law. Dr. Nancy Stillman School of Business. And Dr. Michael Zavada, Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences. Finally, let me introduce to you our Grand Marshal for today's ceremony, Dr. David Beneteau, Associate Professor of Modern Languages and outgoing Chair of the Faculty Senate. And now, Mr. Kamars Ahmed, magna cum laude graduate from the Whitehead School of Diplomacy and International Relations, will deliver the salutatory address. Mr. Ahmad.
Thank you. Thank you. President Esteban, Archbishop Myers, trustees, regents, faculty, students, parents, family, guests. Class of 2013. What is the value of a degree? On the day of our commencement, society is asking us this question. You've all heard it. Given the state of the economy, its continued higher unemployment among recent graduates, its slow recovery, rising student debt, every newspaper seems to ask this question. Is a four-year college degree worth it? What is the value of a degree? Implicitly, what is the value of the piece of paper we're going to get in a few minutes? How do we measure that? How do we measure the value of a degree from Seton Hall University? Is it measured by the amount of nights we spent in Club Walsh? The amount of breakfast sandwiches we got from Miss V? The amount of intramural championship shirts we were able to wear? The times we didn't step on the seal? For those of us who commuted, the amount of hours we got up early to get a parking spot just in time for class? For those of us who chose to pursue other goals in life before or while attending school, the amount of sacrifices made to reach this moment? For those of us affected by tragedy at our home or in our community, the amount of unexpected challenges that needed to be overcome? Or maybe it's the times we played can jam on the green, the time spent trying to run from the train to catch the shoe fly before it left SOPAC, the time spent trying to find the bull in tunnels. Perhaps it's measured by the amount of free Dunkin' Donuts we got from that Pirates Bucks glitch. For me, it is all those and so much more. It is the friends I have made, the lessons I have learned, and the values that have been instilled in me. By all those measurements, a Seton Hall degree is very valuable indeed. But all this does not measure the entire value of a degree. Nobel Prize winner Orhan Pamuk wrote, "If you plucked a special moment from life and framed it, were you defying death, decay, and the passage of time, or were you submitting to them?" The true value of graduating from Seton Hall isn't just the experiences, it is how we use those experiences. What is the point of all our great memories if they just sit in a time capsule in our minds waiting to be opened only for nostalgic purposes? What is the point of all those nights in Club Walsh if we never apply what we learned those nights? What is the point of ideals like servant leadership if we never practice them? Are we then doing what Orhan Pamuk warned us against doing, taking these special moments of our lives and framing them, using them as decoration and glancing at them every so often? My fellow members of the class of 2013, there's been a lot of talk this past year about leaving your mark, about leaving your legacy. I think that the legacy of the class of 2013 will be defined not by what we've done these past 4 years, but by what we will do in the years to come. No one makes the Hall of Fame based on their collegiate career alone. The 1983 NFL draft class is considered the greatest in the history of football. More than half of those selected in the first round straight out of college became Pro Bowlers or Hall of Famers. But what made the class of '83 so great? No one knew they would be the greatest when they got drafted. The reason they were great was because they were not content to rely on their collegiate accomplishments alone, but built careers off the foundations they obtained in school. We may not be entering the NFL today, but the analogy still applies. I know many of our graduating class have achieved so much and have so much to be proud of already, but we also have the opportunity to build off our Seton Hall legacy, to build off our Seton Hall experience and do great things. We have the opportunity to build our Seton Hall legacy now. We are equipped with great education, great experiences, and great friendships. So I know the paper we'll be getting today is already very valuable. But how much more valuable can a degree from Seton Hall be? Go out and show me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. One of the privileges enjoyed by an institution of higher learning is that it may confer honorary degrees. Such degrees are awarded to individuals who have made significant contributions to society and through their work have realized the ideals and aspirations to which Seton Hall is committed. We want to honor two such individuals today. We would ask the candidate, Father Ian Kerr, to please rise. Father Ian Kerr, PhD, a noted scholar of English literature and prominent author, is considered the world's leading authority on John Henry Newman, one of the most important figures in the religious history of England in the 19th century. Father Kerr is the author and editor of 27 books. The majority of these are works about Newman or critical editions of Newman's works. In 2011, Oxford University Press published Father Kerr's massive G.K. Chesterton, a biography, which was reissued in paperback in 2012. Father Kerr received his baccalaureate degree in classics and philosophy from Oxford and a PhD in English literature from Cambridge University. He began his teaching career in 1969, teaching English at York University in England, and was ordained a priest in 1979. In addition to his writing and teaching, he serves as the pastor of Burford Parish in the Cotswolds area of England. Presently, Father Kerr is working on a book entitled Newman on the Second Vatican Council and the Post-Conciliar Church, which will be published in 2015, the 50th anniversary of the end of the council. For his outstanding achievements as a literary scholar, noted author, and dedicated parish priest, Seton Hall University proudly awards Father Ian Kerr the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa. We ask candidate Professor Hadley Arquez to please rise. Dr. Hadley P. Arquez is one of the nation's leading experts on American political philosophy, public policy, and constitutional law. He serves as the Edward N. Ney Professor of Jurisprudence and American Institutions at Amherst College, where he has taught since 1966. He is also a senior fellow of the Ethics and Public Policy Center in Washington, D.C. The center is dedicated to applying the Judeo-Christian moral tradition to critical issues of public policy. Professor Arquez was the main advocate and architect of the bill that became known as the Born Alive Infants Protection Act. He led the testimony on the bill before the Judiciary Committee of the U.S. House of Representatives in 2000 and 2001. In 2002, the House and Senate passed the bill unanimously, and with Professor Arquez in attendance, President George W. Bush signed the bill into law. Professor Arquez received a baccalaureate degree at the University of Illinois and a doctorate from the University of Chicago, where he was a student of Leo Strauss, recognized as one of the most important political philosophers of the 20th century. For his outstanding achievements as a scholar, political philosopher, and moral advocate, Seton Hall University proudly awards Hadley P. Arquez the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa. Will the candidates please rise? Monsignor James Cofone, member of our Board of Regents, will now confer the honorary degree upon our distinguished nominees. Monsignor Cofone.
In accordance with the authority granted to the Board of Regents of Seton Hall University, and at the direction of that board, I hereby confer on these candidates the honorary degree for which they have been presented, with all rights and privileges thereunto appertaining. In my name and in the name of the Board of Regents, may I offer you our sincere congratulations.
Thank you, Monsignor. To introduce our keynote speaker, it is my pleasure to welcome to the podium Dr. Dermot Quinn, Professor in the Department of History and Director of Graduate Studies. Dr. Quinn.
The connections between Seton Hall and Amherst College go back a very long way. So long, in fact, that they predate Seton Hall itself. In 1831, James Roosevelt Bailey entered Amherst as a first-year student. One of his contemporaries recalled that he possessed decided talent and was good as a scholar. But despite this, he left after 2 years without taking a degree. If only Amherst had had a proper freshman studies program, he might never have become Bishop of Newark, Archbishop of Baltimore, and founder of Seton Hall. Nearly 2 centuries later, the connections continue. As we have heard, Hadley Arcus is the Edward Ney Professor of Jurisprudence and American Institutions at Amherst College, where he has taught since 1966. He is also Senior Fellow of the Ethics and Public Policy Center in Washington, D.C. In these twin capacities, he has shown that he too possesses decided talent as a scholar. Indeed, he is one of this country's most distinguished philosophers of law, and also, I might add, easily the funniest. To be honest, there's not a very severe competition for that title. In a glittering series of books and essays, Professor Arcus has explored the relationship between law and morality, offering deep and sometimes disturbing reflections on the troubled jurisprudence of our own time. That body of writing includes The Philosopher in the City, 1981, First Things, 1986, Beyond the Constitution in 1990, The Return of George Sutherland in 1994, and more recently, Natural Rights and the Right to Choose in 2002. In these books, and in everything he does, he reveals the elegance and amplitude of his mind, the power and range of his intellect, the wisdom of the traditions that formed him, and finally, the moral sensibility of a man at once clear-sighted and deeply compassionate. He has defended the most vulnerable in our society, those not yet born, and those in the last stages of life. For that alone, he deserves our profound thanks. To try to summarize such a superb and subtle body of work is, of course, absurd. But perhaps this may be said. In his 1986 book, First Things, Professor Arcus proposed a sharp correction to the view that moral reasoning is a matter merely of historical contingency or cultural disposition. In morals, as in mathematics, satisfactory solutions to specific problems must be grounded in axioms or necessary truths. Universally valid principles of moral reasoning, and thus of morality itself, are available to us. Those principles are derivable from undeniable and self-evident truths about human beings and human actions. It is necessarily true from the very logic of the proposition that human beings possess the capacity to reason and that morals exist. And from those first principles, those first things, he derives certain conclusions, certain compelling conclusions about lawmaking and law-breaking in the modern world. 4 years later, in his 1990 book, Beyond the Constitution, Professor Arcus considered the natural law foundations of political institutions, and in particular, the natural law foundations of the American Constitution. Most modern jurists, he complains, find it hard to establish the principled ground for their judgments, since they are not entirely sure that they can recognize a principle when they see it. And in this book, he offers them some help. Beyond any constitution lie certain principles of good order, and those principles are not established by the document, but are elaborated by it. The founders knew what they were doing. They understood the laws of reason. They knew the Greeks, the Romans, and they knew the Bible. The document they produced presupposed the prior existence of the principles it enshrined. And so we must look to origins, even if they seem remote. And that goes for educational institutions as well. In our own case, we look to Bishop Bailey, who founded Seton Hall with certain moral and intellectual principles in mind. I think he would have approved, as one Amherst man to another, of our commencement speaker this morning. Please welcome Professor Hadley Arcus to Seton Hall.
Daddy would have loved that, and my mama would have believed it. Archbishop Meyer, my dear old friend, President Esteban, members of the board, colleagues in the faculty, parents and grandparents, close friends of the class of 2013, and the class of, I must say, you look immensely appealing walking in today. I'm grateful to be here because my driver circled the stadium 4 times without being able to find it. And I had to walk here, which means it struck me that I was violating Fran Leibowitz's first rule of life, which was, get out of New Jersey. But since I'm back in the New York, New Jersey axis, I can't resist sharing with you, as they say, that item that appeared in the New York Times under the Metropolitan Diary, where they have sketches of life in the city written by the readers. And one from a while back read it this way. It said, "Dear Diary, It was midway during Act 3 of La Traviata at the New York City Opera. And after witnessing Alfredo's confession of love, Violetta's rejection of the carefree life of Paris, their retreat to the countryside, but Giorgio's appeal to release Alfredo for the benefit of his sister's prospects of marriage, Violetta's compliance, her pretended deceit, Alfredo's jealous rage, her reversal, an illness, Giorgio's sympathy, the lovers' tragic reunion, and Violetta's death. After all of that, I heard the woman behind me say to her companion, "The same thing happened to my girlfriend Gloria." I want to draw on the same blending of the grand and prosaic. I want to thank you, Mr. President, for the degree, and thank my colleagues and the faculty for extending to me this degree from this university that I gather does not hesitate to call itself a Catholic university. And I want to congratulate the students that have come under the teaching of this faculty. But today, we also celebrate families and the accomplishment of seeing a son or daughter through college. Years ago, we brought back to my college, Amherst, one of its most distinguished graduates, a man who had simultaneously earned a law degree and a PhD in philosophy. And he began his talk by telling all the students gathered around him that by your very presence, you indicate a serious rejection of the principle of equality. Because if your parents had settled the price of an Amherst tuition on the child in the neighborhood most deserving of that education, it's not clear that all of you would have been the recipients. Later on at a dinner for him, he was asked by some wise guy, I won't tell you who, about his life of teaching and writing. And he said writing came easy for him, allowed him to spend a lot of time working at home with his family around him. And some wise guy gently ribbed him and said, well, 4 kids between 7 and 17. And he said, I suppose that those children must gain immensely from the concentrated attentions of a man who's a preeminent figure in philosophy and law. And I suppose that those attentions were distributed in the neighborhood according to some principle of merit. It's not clear those 4 children at home would be the recipients. It's eminently fitting, it's not the mark of a crimped nature, that parents take a heightened responsibility for the children who are theirs. We know enough to know that this, the most natural of sentiments, has not always held true. Not all parents have been protective of their children. Some have been willing to get rid of their children, and some have had a merchandising attitude toward their children. You think of Woody Allen's line, "This is a watch that my father, on his deathbed, sold me." But this is a day for people who have borne their responsibilities, parents and children, in reaching this day and reaching it in the presence of faculty pursuing a rather distinct mission. And I want to talk briefly about that mission understood in this place. I don't want to sound like that cleric mentioned in Daniel Deronda, who somehow thinks that his personal correspondence is part of the history of Protestantism. But I like to draw on my own experience teaching at a small college in New England. Early in my days at Amherst, I was teaching a course on political parties and elections. And I told another junior professor that I was determined that no student of mine would ever flub a question on political parties as I had on an oral exam for honors as an undergraduate. And my colleague told me, no, I had the wrong idea. We can't make your course an annex to the graduate schools. We're not simply preparing people for the graduate schools. Most of the students in your course will not even be political science majors. This could be the only course they have on the subject. The real question is, where does this course fit into a liberal arts education? Or another way of putting it is, where does this course fit in the history of philosophy? A dear late colleague of mine, Joe Epstein, in philosophy, used to tell us youngsters, you are a doctor of philosophy resident in Department X. Your task is to engage the students where you find them and lead them back to the enduring questions of philosophy. My friend Dan Robinson used to say that our mission was to shape students who could not be bought and could not be fooled. And we happen to think that we bring people a long way to the point where they won't be fooled when we bring them to the point where they're not easily fooled. They can't be bought because they're not easily fooled, when they're not being taken in by slogans masquerading as principles. The question we used to say was whether our students had a principled ground for their motivations and could read good reasons for their actions. In that vein, we used to cite that fine passage from Aristotle in the Ethics, where he said that the study of politics may not hold much interest for those people whose lives consisted of a series of disconnected emotional episodes. But for those people who are concerned that the decisions they make on Monday bear some connection in principle to what they do on Friday, this study might be quite valuable. Or as Immanuel Kant once put it, when we respect a person, we are registering our reverence for that law of which he happens to be an example. So our mission as we took it is, could we bring students to the point where they could give an account of those governing principles or that law of which they happen, they purport to be examples. We like to think here that we're engaged in what we used to call higher education. It was especially suitable to raise the question, well, what was indeed higher and lower in the things we could know? We could come to know how to drive a car, but then we could drive a car, we could drive an ambulance, or we could drive a getaway car for the mafia. And so we may ask, which is higher, the knowledge of how to drive the car, or the knowledge of those ends or purposes of driving that are justified or unjustified, right or wrong? The answer was contained in what we might call the logic of morals itself. As Thomas Aquinas taught us, the good or the right is that which everyone is obliged to do. The wrong is that which everyone is obliged to refrain from doing. The good is higher than the bad, more desirable than the bad. And so the knowledge of good, the knowledge of right and wrong, is higher than ignorance of right and wrong, and higher than a life lived with indifference to right and wrong. Higher than the knowledge of driving the car is the knowledge, the moral knowledge, of whether the ends for which I'm driving that car are good or bad, right or wrong, justified or unjustified. Well then, if we trace this thing all along and follow the track of the questions, we're led to ask, who does the highest work in the society? Who has the highest art, the science that directs everything else? Now, Aristotle's answer is one that predictably jars people and leaves them scratching their heads. The highest science, he held, is political science. Now, I've come to know many political scientists in my years, and when you see them gathered, they don't exactly strike you as the kind of people you'd have rule the world and not even mow the lawn and get it right. But political science at its peak is the science of reflecting on the principles of justice, the nature of the just political order, and the things we are justified in imposing on people with the force of law. Political science, as Aristotle thought, was the architectonic science, the science that knew the first order principles that would give proportion and scale to everything else. Well, what about the people working on new drugs that deliver us from high blood pressure, cancer, diabetes? Wouldn't that be more important? But we used to understand that science itself worked under the governance of moral principles that were even higher. For there were moral limits on the way science acquired what it wanted to know. Some of the research carried out by the Germans during the Second World War had considerable utility for people in other countries. If we want to know just how icy were the temperatures that pilots could absorb when they were downed in the Atlantic, but what better way to find out than by start dunking some prisoners who, as the saying goes, were going to die anyway. And yet we seem to have been clear in this country, or clear until recently, that we should not do lethal experiments when there were alternatives that were non-lethal, and we shouldn't do experiments with lethal risks on patients without their consent. These moral inhibitions could indeed slow the pace and reach of research, but we seem to understand that there were, as I say, serious moral limits on what scientists deeply crave to know. And now in our own day, we are faced with the choice of whether we will do research on stem cells extracted from embryos, killing these nascent lives, or whether we will use adult stem cells or the newly contrived induced pluripotent state cells that are formed by simply reprogramming adult cells. They can be contrived without killing live human beings. The new methods involved here would also allow us to produce the equivalent of embryonic stem cells for research without creating and destroying an embryo. The distinction is critical because each one of us began as an embryo, and it was all there in our genetic makeup, our likely height, our allergies, perhaps even our SAT scores. We know enough to know that if any one of us were killed when we were that embryo, we would not have been the next one out, the next pregnancy. That embryo and that one alone was you or I. And as I look out here, I must say this is as appealing a collection as former embryos as I've seen in one place. When we make a decision either to allow the destruction of embryos in research or not, we make a decision at the top of the state about the kinds of work we think is legitimate and salutary, the kind of work we are willing to encourage by removing moral and legal inhibitions and licensing, encouraging, promoting. And so a whole new industry rises with many people working in labs. My point, though, is this. A decision is made by legislators, by people making laws. They're engaged in the highest practice of political science. The decision they make will either foreclose many people from making their livings in a branch of research involving the use of embryonic stem cells, the killing of nascent beings, or they will remove the inhibitions that cause that kind of work to burgeon. The people in official authority make a decision, you might say at the top of the state, and that will have the most palpable result in the way that thousands of ordinary people make their livings or the kinds of work that is foreclosed to them. The Supreme Court, starting in the 1950s, began to peel back the legal restraints on pornography, and we've seen the burgeoning of pornography as a $20 billion business going viral now with the internet, and from the accounts coming in, that flourishing business is having a vast destructive effects in breaking up families. But I want to return to my beginning. Is that applause for the destruction of families? I couldn't tell. I want to return to my bit. This is a day for the celebration of families. The point has been aptly made that the biblical injunction, honor thy father and thy mother, would not have referred simply to the biological father or mother. For in that case, we'd be enjoined to honor the man who sired us in the course of a rape. Duties and obligations are moral terms, and they flow only to the people who have in turn borne the obligations of their own, the people who have filled the moral office of parenting by being there to nurture, to protect, and sustain. I once did a talk called Gifts Without Warranties, the children we didn't exactly order and the parents they produced. And part of it involved the way our children taught us forensics as we negotiated with them. I used to keep a diary of our family sayings and doings of our two boys, and a while back I was looking at that journal. I came upon an incident that took place when our boys were about 5 or 6, they're now in their 40s. My wife and I were preparing to go out one evening, and my wife did not want the boys negotiating with the babysitter as to when they're putting on their pajamas. But the boys were absorbed in a program on television. And my 5-year-old Jeremy made it clear he was not the least interested in pajamas. He was not the least tired. And my wife said, pretend it's later than it is. Pretend you're tired. And according to my notes, Jeremy said to her, why don't you just pretend I'm in my pajamas? Aristotle, that boy is now teaching economics at the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey. Aristotle said that the polis, the political order, was prior in the order of nature to the family. And this urbane man knew that people were perfectly capable of having sex when governments broke down. But that was different from a family. For what constitutes a family? Would it be 2 people or several joined together in a polygamous or polyandrous ensemble? 2 members of the same species? Several years ago, a friend of mine in Denver reported to me that a man showed up at the marriage bureau seeking a marriage license for himself and his horse. And he said, you'll never guess the reason they gave for denying the application. I'm proud to tell you I did guess the reason, and that was the horse wasn't yet 18. Now, this is what people in office say when they forget their reasons and the things that constitute marriage. What constitutes a family is something that's always dependent on the moral understanding that pervades the community and finds expression in our laws. I conclude in this way. Our late friend Alan Bloom wrote that children who are products of nature and real love lack something that can be provided only by law and its constraints. And he went on to say, it's only within the context of the law that a man can really imagine that the offspring of his loins can people the world. The integrity, the law that gives names to families and tries to ensure their integrity is a kind of unnatural force and endures only as long as does the regime of which it is a part. The laws on marriage invited us as parents to say the most telling words that parents may say as they claim their children as their own, and do that through the simple device of imparting a name. As they do that, they replicate those words spoken by God in relation to Israel, the words that any parents are invited to speak in accepting their vocations. And is there not finally anything simpler or more decisive than those words that come back to us from Isaiah? Fear not, I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name. Thou art mine. This is a day when we celebrate the parents who've given their names to children, borne the responsibilities for them, and the students who have borne their own responsibility in a handsome way by working faithfully to justify the sacrifices made for them and to learn what this faculty has sought to teach. Mr. President, I'm touched by the honor you settled on me today. I'm grateful for the degree awarded by this university, and I'm proud to join the graduates and the parents who have brought them to us as gifts.
Dr. Gabriel Esteban is Seton Hall University's 20th president. His strategic vision and dedicated to the primacy of academics will keep Seton Hall on the course of transformation to even greater success, while it continues to be a home for the mind, the heart, and the spirit. To charge the class of 2013, I invite President Esteban to come forward. Dr. Esteban.
Thank you, Dr. Getty. Welcome, Archbishop Myers, trustees, regents, Dr. Kerr, Dr. Akers, distinguished faculty and colleagues, students, parents, family, guests, and friends. First and foremost, congratulations to the class of 2013. Today I charge you, Seton Hall class of 2013, to find your passion and make the most of your lives and the gifts you've been given. But what does it mean to follow your passion? The Blessed Mother Teresa was quoted as saying, "I try to give to the poor people for love what the rich could not do for money, could not get for money. No, I wouldn't touch a leper for 1,000 pounds, yet I willingly cure him for the love of God." Mother Teresa was passionate about her love for God, and it was reflected in the work she did. What is your passion? As graduates of this great university, and like those before you on your continuing journey, you will be given opportunities to make your mark on this world. Some of you may become school teachers, nurses, healthcare professionals, lawyers, artists, diplomats, priests, nuns. Some will try and make their mark in the business world, and may become the CEO of major corporations, or maybe create the next Google or Facebook. As you follow your passions, please remember alma mater. Whatever your chosen profession or field of endeavor, we ask that you remember those who came before you to make Seton Hall a great place to learn. That you think of those who will follow you as students and give back something of yourself to them. That you live your lives filled with love and compassion, guided by the values of this great Catholic university. That you continue to grow as a servant leader. In years to come, you and your generation will be evaluated not by the treasures you have accumulated, but by what you have done as servants of others, your country, community, family, indeed the world. As one part of your journey of transformation ends, another one begins for you now. Along with your parents, family, and friends, and I express my heartfelt congratulations and pride in what you have accomplished. Now is your time to continue to grow as a servant leader. But what does it mean to be a servant leader? In his book, Rediscovering Catholicism, Matthew Kelly talks about Jesus as a servant leader. I quote, "Even some of his disciples were expecting him to use his power to rule in some earthly capacity. But again, Jesus' method of leadership was very different from anything that had been experienced before. For thousands of years, kings, queens, and emperors had been sending their people off to die for them. Jesus was the only leader who chose to die for his people. The model of leadership that Christ himself left was one of service and sacrifice. Service and sacrifice. Never cease giving back to those who look to you now as leaders with great potential and gifts. I charge you now, class of 2013, as you take the next steps on your journey, to take the knowledge and values you have received at Seton Hall into God's world. I charge you to value the people around you more than the things around you. I charge you to discharge your acquired knowledge with wisdom and compassion. I charge you to serve others and make this a better world. Stay close to Seton Hall always. Nurture those who will follow you, and give of yourselves without stinting to this community that has formed and educated you. May the Lord of all the seasons keep you safe and sustain you on your continuing journey of transformation. God bless you, and go Pirates!
Thank you, Dr. Esteban. It is now my pleasure to welcome to the podium Monsignor Joseph Riley, who will present His Grace, the Most Reverend John J. Myers, Archbishop of Newark. Monsignor Riley.
The office of Archbishop of Newark includes a wide range of significant responsibilities. Among the most important, the Archbishop serves as Chairman of the Board of Trustees and President of the Board of Regents of Seton Hall University. During the 12 years he has held this office, Archbishop Myers has labored assiduously for the welfare of Seton Hall. He has generously given of his time and energy whenever called upon. A champion of Seton Hall's Catholic mission, the Archbishop has also worked diligently for the advancement of the academic strength and the reputation of Seton Hall. We are thankful for the many hours Archbishop Myers devotes to our university. We look forward to his words today and to his continuing support in the future. I'm pleased and proud to present His Grace, Archbishop Myers.
President Esteban, members of the Board of Trustees and Regents, graduates of Seton Hall University's class of 2013. First of all, I wish to express my deepest congratulations to you, the class of 2013, and to your parents. Also, I wish to congratulate our honorary degree recipients, Father Kerr and Professor Arcus. I must note that Professor Arcus and I share some, not only friendship, but some history. University of Illinois was in my former diocese in Peoria, Illinois, and I grew up closer to Chicago, closer to the University of Chicago. And so we share, I think, a certain amount of our history anyway. Your contributions to the fields of ethics and theology qualify you for this honor and for many more. 157 years ago, James Roosevelt Bailey, the first bishop of the missionary diocese of Newark, courageously established a small college. I wonder what went through his mind as he tried to decide on a name for this tiny institution. In the end, he did not name it after the Holy Trinity or after any individual person of the Holy Trinity. He did not name it after Mary, the Blessed Mother of God. He did not name it after an apostle or after any saint at all. He did not name it after its location. He named it after his Aunt Betty, whom we know better as St. Elizabeth Ann Bailey Seton. Perhaps he did this because Elizabeth of Seton was, even back in 1856, considered the foundress of the Catholic school system. Perhaps he named it after his aunt because she already had a reputation for holiness. But she was not an inaccessible or distant individual, as are so many saints, or at least they seem to be. Rather, she was a daughter, a sister, a wife, a mother, a woman. She knew family life and valued it. She was a woman who loved and was devoted to her family, as your parents have been to you. This alone would constitute a full life. But she was an extraordinary woman who, in the latter part of her life, founded a religious community of sisters devoted to the care and education of the poor, a magnificent accomplishment for which achievement she became known as Mother Seton. As members of the family of a university named after her, I'm sure we have from time to time wondered about Elizabeth Seton. Her life story demonstrates that she was a fascinating and accomplished woman. Many of her life experiences were like our own, and in faith, in difficult times, she should not hesitate to look to her example. We should not hesitate to look to her example and to ask for her help. After all, she is our patron saint. Elizabeth Seton lost her mother when she was just 3. She had a difficult childhood and suffered from depression. As a teenager, she fell in love and married William Seton at age 19. Her husband died less than 10 years later, leaving her a single mother of 5 at age 28. She engaged in charitable work among the poor, what we today would call social work. Today, all of us at Seton Hall, administration, faculty, staff, and students, are called to service. Long before the phrase was coined, our patron saint truly was a servant leader. Elizabeth always had a contemplative and a spiritual side. Her many hours of prayer and contemplation led her to enter the church. Her conversion infuriated her family, her husband's family, and many friends, and she became an outcast. We know something of the reaction which people can have when we hold fast to our faith and to our convictions. Shunned by most of her family, she had to make her way in life. Her journey was made more complicated by her hearing a call not only to religious life, but to found a community of sisters to teach and care for poor children. She had many challenges on this road. During these years, she endured the greatest tragedy that can befall any parent, the death of 2 of her beloved children. St. Elizabeth Ann Bailey Seton's life was a life of faith, of prayer, and of service. May yours be the same. I feel certain that she looks with pride on each one of you. As a parent, she blesses the sacrifices of your parents. As a servant leader 200 years ago, Elizabeth Seton hopes to see her vision fulfilled in you. I ask St. Elizabeth Ann Seton to bless each of you, you graduates, and your parents, those who have helped and supported you, leading you to this day, and to continue to bless this great university. St. Elizabeth Ann Seton, pray for us.
Thank you, Archbishop Myers. It is now that time in the program when each baccalaureate candidate of the class of 2013 will be personally recognized. Graduates will come onto the stage using the stairs on the left side of the stage as directed by their faculty and seating marshals. Graduates, please present your name cards to the reader at the dais. Then proceed forward across the stage for the personal congratulation of university officials. It is my pleasure to welcome back to the podium Dr. Peter R., Associate Professor of Religion, who will read the names of the graduates. Dr. R. is a member of Seton Hall's class of 1962. Dr. R.
Thank you, Dr. Getty. We will begin with the Immaculate Conception Seminary School of Theology. These candidates will be greeted by His Grace Archbishop Myers, Dr. Yunsuk Cho Lee, Member of the Board of Regents, President Gabriel Esteban, and Monsignor Joseph Riley, Rector and Dean of the school. At the far end of the stage, candidates will also be greeted by Mr. James Orsini, Member of the Board of Regents and President of the Seton Hall University Alumni Association. Will the candidates for the degree Bachelor of Arts in Theology please rise and come to the dais? Cesar Jaramillo, Brother Eduardo Chincha, SDB, Brother Adam Nicholas Dupre, SDB, Christopher Alexander James Adams, Matthew John Marinelli, Keith David Greiner, Patrick Cerna, Jose Arredondo, Brother Mark Stockhausen, SDB, Brother Juan Pablo Rubio, SDB, Joshua Nevitt, Maribel Landrau, Cesar Jimenez, Javier Sanchez, Angel Giovanni Gamba, Jaime Rotelvi Castellanos, congratulations to the graduates. Next, we will welcome candidates from the College of Nursing. These candidates will be greeted by His Grace Archbishop Myers, Dr. Yunsuk Cho Lee, member of the Board of Regents, President Gabriel Esteban, and Dr. Phyllis Hansel, Dean of the College. At the far end of the stage, candidates will also be greeted by Mr. James Orsini, member of the Board of Regents and President of the Seton Hall University Alumni Association. Brittany Jane Rood, Kelly Marie Patrick, Margaret Rose Scolo, Danielle Mia Rothbord, Nicole Caitlin Michaels, Ashley Nicole Lang, Caroline Cooley, Laura Messino, Lorraine Carvalho Oliveira, Glennon Makalindong, Charlene Chisholm, Denise Lopez, Arlene Yauto, Stephanie Pereira, Pooja Solanki, Kelsey Samantha Stovkin, Maria Christina David, Elizabeth Winifred DeMott, Jermaine Michael Paines, David Debicki, Kimberly Lauren Mikolajczyk, Nicole Lynn Pino, Laura Brenner, Amanda Rose Scelfo, Anne Marie Crowley, Rena Joan Giglani, Rachel Ann Pinto, Marissa Avalone, Catherine Buffa, Rebecca Ann Kath, Emily Catherine Turner, Natalie Alexandria Topchev, Radhika Patel, Kristen Lynn Napolitano, Melissa Morano, Melody Murillo, Leslie Ann Castillo, Thomas James Alner, Nicole Marie Puerari, Olga Linowski, DJ Talibi, Chanel Christina Hyde, Jessica Marie Kessler, Leslie Williams, George Cruz, Pino Miranda, Janelo Nwadike, Junmei Anyuanwu, Aldona Sudol, Liliana Duque, Nancy Oliveira Simoes, Eugene Glukowski, John Robert Carley, Daniela Reggio, Catherine Patricia Patarek, Yasmin Sarah Amar, Raquel de Andrade, Brianna Boyce, Joel Anthony Young, Renee Vivian Chandul, Felicia Patrice Cooper, Kieran Patel, Patricia Obina Oladimma, James Casimir, Sarah Vaughn, Natalia Cruz Ortiz, Jacqueline Elizabeth Bucciero, Corin Nicole Tolliver, Samantha Jade Quevedo, Michelle Joy Calagio, Kimberly Elizabeth McGrath, Alicia Rea Golej, Vida Francesca Errante, Caitlin Marie Bacchus, Samantha Lee Gavares, Kayla Aroneo, May Vargas Sunas, Tatiana Charles, Megan Jones, Asiya Abdul Karim, Ifilua Adedeji, April Jewel McManus, Rashid Akinola, Rhonda Taylor, Kimberly Ann Rosania, Landa Hatma Michelle, Shani Pearson, Marie Carmel Germain, Ryan Davis, Deborah Okiare, Dorothy Tupchinsky, Christina Sguerra, Elizabeth Ndive, Jessica Schremschak, Jessica Dorfler, Stephanie Delori, Reshma Joseph, Ruth Alexandra, Ariel Quinn Short, Claudio Lazo, Jaime Samantha Hatala, Lindsay Gowlin, Yeleni De Jesus, Jennifer Cuzo, Ashley Gonzalez, Congratulations, graduates. Next, we welcome candidates from the College of Education and Human Services. These candidates will be greeted by His Grace Archbishop Myers, Ms. Kent Manahan, Member of the Board of Regents, President Gabriel Esteban, and Dr. Grace May, Dean of the College. At the far end of the stage, candidates will also be greeted by Mr. James Orsini, Member of the Board of Regents and President of the Seton Hall University Alumni Association. Will the candidates for the degree Bachelor of Science in Education please rise and come to the dais. Richard Anthony Harzula, Maura Kelly, Kevin Casimir McCarthy, Jennifer Ashley Gottetto, Elizabeth Mary Parr, John Procopio, Joseph Toll, Anthony Joseph Salerno, Caitlin Timmerman, Caitlin Rebecca Sawyer, Cindy Pamela Moreno, Victoria Diebold, Saradane Shabak, Jenna Stone, Courtney Lee Pearsall, Rosario Tantalion, Elizabeth Behrens, Catherine N. Chidiak, Gabrielle Nicole Borelli, Alexandra Nicole Palacio, Samantha Matarazzo, Andrea Nicole Cito, Dana Totoli, Amy Lynn Richards, Deanna Di Silvestro, Melissa Velasquez, Alyssa Marie Chetta, Shane William Hughes, Sean James Reardon, Carly Reed, Robin Geraldine Skeen, Julie Louise Carlson, Solange Sandel, Adrienne Cozy, Samantha Lynn Lazewski, Catherine Marie Butler, Michael John Puma, Rebecca Gray Warrington, Stacy Delecta, Lauren Helene Diorio, Jessica Chadid, Christina Bratoli, Stephanie Michelle Lanza, Amelia Marie Heiduck, Lindsay Marie Rosnack, Laura Ann Degnan, Samantha Page Mulreed, Naomi Nalina Narain, Jessica Townsend, Melissa Marie Silva, Fatima Mary Grupico, Nicole Land, Leonard Nuciforo, Jasmine Gomez, Crystal Maxim, Amy Crystal Ogden, Jean-Gilles Ernesti Walter, Xiomara Elizabeth Perez, Nicole Marie Chungaris, Shayna Cafone, Cara Marie Metz, Bridget Caulfield Sloan, Patricia Grace Cedrone, Marcy Piscopo. Next, we welcome college candidates from the College of Arts and Sciences. These candidates will be greeted by His Grace Archbishop Myers, Mr. Richard Mandelbaum, member of the Board of Regents, President Gabriel Esteban, and Dr. Michael Zavada, Dean of the College. At the far end of the stage, candidates will also be greeted by Mr. James Orsini, member of the Board of Regents and President of the Seton Hall University Alumni Association. William Fisher. Timoteo Ogunwo. Josite Palmer. William J. Torres. Sharon Antoinette Dickens. Keith Washington. Famata Rogers. Asi Bangura. Terry Green. Stephanie Anzuna. Brianna Sade Kelton. Dolores Sarfo-Daco, Ronisha Wilcox, Alexander LaRoche, Fiona Ellison, Stephanie Chambers, Ashley Mapp, Tatiana Lewis, Christopher Johnson, Antoine McRae, Maxlin Anglad, Laquan Ford, Ariane DeMarco, Corinne D'Angelo, Camille Calixt, Lauren Anderson, Jenna Mason, Lauren Elizabeth Heusel, Casey May Haddock, Maria Perez, Erin May Loughran, Alexandra Maseko, Donna Scarola, Lauren Vesper, Marcela Jimenez, Reshma Thomas, Lady Hormaza Moreno, Lorena Catherine Murphy, Gabriella Benoit, Carrie Faith Pringle, Brian Morawski, Matthew Robert Bartell, Ricardo Ayala, Jordan Spruce, Sarah Joanna DeRosa, Allison Horn, Anthony Costanzo, Melissa Bonamici, Nicole Benigno, Ariel Fallon, Alexa Mangini, Amanda Narduzzi, Felix Jose Castillo Vignetti, Elizabeth Ann Corman, Robert Louis Pertil, Jacqueline Sablowski, Allison Shage Zelenki, Kirby Rose Groves, Brooke Rickards, Cashel Gaffey, Brian Pauling, Eric Krempa, James Donnelly, Robin Schlossberg, Eileen Murdoch, Justin Ventry, Anthony David Ortiz, Jake Angelo Costello, Danielle Lil Anderson, Colleen Ashley Tebnan, Patrick James Calabro, Anthony Carcino, Courtney Day, Amy Travis, Freddie Henry, Keith Manning Jr., Maria Zarahula Shell, Kelsey Nadine Weston, Catherine Mary Doherty, Letitia Patel, Samson Mobasha, J. Ashley Suarez, Keisha Marie Rudolph, Emily Governale, Shaylin Bates, Raina Batts Hines, Michelle Nichols, Raquel Elisa Francis, Katia Veronica Diaz, Alyssa Ann Marrero, Deidre Eileen Martino, Chanel Shona K. Champagny, Dajlit Kaur, Krutika Patel, Tasha Karekes, Margaret Kwayeke, Jennifer Nanambo Bly, Daniel Palmer Jones, Alban F. Wiki, Gregory Steers, Stephen J. Valenti, Ross Gardner, John Joseph Poston, Lucas Orkin Gaciorena, Eva Egeza Akuteca, Brianna Simone Knox, Russell Gouch, Christian Warnicki, Ethan Arnowitz, Jason Nienhaus, Emily Marie Mackesy, Ivan E. Crago, Mercedes Elizabeth Cunningham, Jillian Carton, Jay DeShante, Janamia Zito, Alicia Patel, Rakaya Marshall, Nicole Marie Ferretto, John Kevin Lopiano, Joseph DeGiulio, Bethany Price, Laura Perez, Richard Bengione, Edward Walter Ross III, Gerald Rodriguez, Amanda Isabella Echevarria, Stacy Rochelle Townsend, Conchetta Marie Milton, Dixon G. Slew, Erin Jane Egan, Belinda Rukaj, Carly Julia Ciravo, Giuseppe Antonio Popaccio, Francis Morris, Jr., Gregory Quinter Hume, Ryan Sullivan, Connor Hamilton Dillapine, Michael Genovese, Ryan Campos Sagrado, Samantha Ramos Tacasi, Megan Anna Maroney, Robert Kevin Schick, Matthew E. Gilson, Andrew Joseph Casais, Andrew Vincent Duva, Jonathan Niskulin, Joseph Michael Spano, Paris Joseph Branda, Patrick Joseph Thibodeau, Yesenia Morales, Ana del Rosario Gonzalez Rivera, Kathleen Ann Ammon, Margot Lustig, Morgan Alyssa DeVries, Olivia Margot Trudeau, Marielle O'Connor, Anna Angelica Hugeback, Cameron Marshall, Philip Michael Clay II, Christine Susan Velarde, Erica Alyssa Tavallion, Anthony Martin Uzzolino, Charles Bonaventura Costello III, Angelica Jani, Emily Anna Lake, Sweeta Kumari Sinjali, Akiti Kohli, Samuel Greendike, Hannah Jane Greendike, Ashley Scotto, Courtney Michelle Mills, Jessica Renee Kohler, Christopher K. Darby, Dia De Angelis, Lisa Zarfino, Karine Natalia Neves, Natalia Londono, Adrian Nicole Parham, Bianca Cristela Atienza, Brenda Lise Veras, Sharonda Alexander, Joan Sherrod Beckford Marriott, Nicole Tuck, Sharon Elizabeth Payne, Megan Frances McVeigh, Noelle Bauer, Jessica Norma Nazario, Alyssa Marie Gianetti, Pauline Alexandra Papatoma, Catherine Margaret Sheridan, Julius Segadin, Anthony John Priolo III, Lindsay J. Mortensen, Lauren Elizabeth Sakala, Leah M. DePillo, Vincent Michael Manzella, Nicholas Bogovich, Daniel L. Fernandez, Michael Joseph Ruzek, Alvin Cargill, Wilfrido Dionisio Varela, Jennifer Bawa, Stacy Nareen, Joseph Sorensen, Victoria Beverly Hinkson, Michael Arthur Lusasso, Antonio Christopher Rivera, Matthew Carreri, Luis Almonte, Dominic Joseph Cuccidello, Carl Edward Banks, Jr., Nathaniel Reyes Docena, Cordillero Newton, Veronica Ann Grupico, Kristen Lincheski, Tia Ziagos, Zachary Adam Filzer, Dominique DeMarque, Janice Catherine Werner, Carl J. Benitez, Peter L. Brett, Connor Ryan Laverty, Juan Luis Ramos Mendez, Kyle Robert London, Stephen Marcel de Saulnier, John Michael DiPieri, Albert Joseph Siebert IV, Devin McIntosh, Megan Michelle Shane, Jada Lynn Soska, Alex Peter Bricky, Desimara Scotty Hübner, Corey Michael Helwig, Ina DeVoli, Aaron Anthony Pittman, Gerard Hart, Jr., Melissa Ann Murray, Mark John Leschizek, Danielle Ann Lagumbay Maglente, Alvin Nevaez Villena, Jr., Matthew Decker, Allison Ashley Ayers, Damali Sophia Francis, Paul C. Scherer, Jr., Thomas Houston Stillman, Cornelius J. Horgan, Elizabeth Perry, Fernando Manuel Cayo, Andros Munir Chiti, Elias Machalani, Sebastian Valencia, Lovan Neenan Matthew, Kelly Rose Carroll, Selden Ildokus, Rachel Patrice Wagner, Andrew David Rivera, Andrew Joseph Wampler, Christine Elizabeth Vichy, Anna Marie Locke, Nicole Marie Chevalier, Cara Ryan, Lauren Restaino, Margot Rose Cronin, Peter Guaracci, Katrina Munoz Carteret, Helen Lee, Julie Shipman, Brittany Taylor Klett, Danielle Tolliver, Jasmine E. Morrison, Lauren Ann Morreale, Ashley Anna Winnica Moniz, Megan Mary Hallinan, Claire Tottoli, Maria Gesualdo, Angelica Graciela Avendano, Francesca De Rossi, Tiffany Holmes, Mami Pakoa Owusu Afriye, Kazema Ralph, Daniel Langford, Brittany Renee Douglas, Steffi Tindan, Philip Nelson Baker, Brendan James Borthwick, Deepak Gera, Caitlin Coker, Monica N. Fallon, Michael Rudolph, Samantha Woodington, Megan Ann Sanderville, Janila Jimenez Suero, Tatiana Lindsay, Patricia Edita Yarosh, Joseph Angelo Faya, Carlo G. Romano, Gerard Frederick Bilillo, David McMillan, Casey Klein, Benjamin Stephen Prohaska, Alicia Spizero, Neil T. Mistry, Margaret McCarthy, Sabrina Brown, Aaron Murdoch, Patrick McManus, Cody Robert Hartman, Sean Patrick Dean, Michael Jared Beatty, Erin Margot Masterson, Caitlin Ann Siegert, Eileen Belgira, Runa Catalia Toledo Estrada, Nikita Palyavi Goel, Alexandra Early, Tyrone D. Walker, Jennifer Santiago, Bingjing Dong, Frank John Taylor, Matthew John Lanzetta, Melissa Rubio, Brittany Brasfield, Romina Martinez, Glenda Portillo, Carolyn Ruiz, Nicole Brigantino, Samantha Catherine Christie, Stephanie Soma, Taylor Mims, Christian Poe, Francis A. Razzo, Brian Charles Sherry, Sergeant Connor Gardner. Congratulations, graduates. Will the candidates for the degree Bachelor of Science please rise and come to the dais? Ryan Madaris, Stephanie Topke, James Dooley, Francis Xavier Schrey, Christopher Cashton, Jonathan Arena, Lawrence Laurenti, Francie Rose Edkilag, Kishi M. Patel, Peter Christopher Bachidagalupi, James Patrick McCauley, Amina Chowdhury, Yancel Nunez, Theodore da Costa, Stephanie Monteleone, Jennifer Leash, Melissa Sebastiano, Christina Lucia Bartel, Kelsey Erin Vandergraaf, Maria Antonios, Amanda Firek, Bridget Desmarais, Serena Congionti, Denise Inirio, Jonathan Morales, Kelly Marielena Guerrero Navais, Cindy Giovanna Cruz Alvarez, Evan Venino, Michaela Maria Papaccio, Olivia Cecilia Ferriosi, Sybil Mary Patikal, Beckelina Manapuram, Catherine Grajales, Victoria Grace Schilder, Leanna Marie Jurgensen, Davia Cummings Newby, Jimmy G. Barrientos, Carly Elizabeth Winton, Austin Hunter Atchison, Ashley Alexandra, Tamika C. Reed, Mirella Patricia Squalache, Stephanie Bonilla, Anthony Melio Jr., Nicholas John Esemplare, Brian Ernest Tabala, Adam C. Lee, Sarah Kolo, Jennifer Eva Gondelike, Timothy Michael Redlinger, David Anthony Zolezi, Valentina Francesca Cilandrello, Danielle Kaczewski, Ivana Kamlinskaya, Eric Fernandez, Stephen Kozic, Christopher Rijo, Manya Elena Saba, Angelo Marino, Samarth Patel, Anna Ono, Andrea Maria Favero, Lauren Jolie Clark, Sarah Ann Onifer, Joliris Galarza, Griselda Martinez Maldonado, Andrea Foshin, Angelo Bastian Montero, Jeffrey Zach Mildrum, Mariame Fofana, Shanman Zhang, Margaret Addo, Yanika Joseph, Kimberly Bernard, Brianna Blanchard, Kelly Eileen Palma, Kaylee Renee Marshall, Brianna Marie O'Keefe, Matthew Robert Pennington, Richard A. Greendyke, Brianna Rose Beecher, Alexandra Maria Kolodziejski, Brianna Hand, Leah Poland, Wenji Ruby Pua, Frank David Nelson. Congratulations, graduates. Next, we welcome candidates from the Stillman School of Business. These candidates will be greeted by His Grace Archbishop Myers, Mr. Robert Budelman, member of the Board of Regents, President Gabriel Esteban, and Dr. Joyce Strasser, Dean of the school. At the far end of the stage, candidates will also be greeted by Mr. James Orsini, member of the Board of Regents and President of the Seton Hall University Alumni Association. Bradley Brennan Childs, William Joseph Maxner, Cecil Albert Christ, Brenda Polanco, Jessica Prata Robella, Rebecca Townsend, Thomas James Mazio, Zachary Daukskers, Amanda Elizabeth Genevith, Jacqueline Alexandra Mungia, Tyler Christopher Viga, Tia Curtis, Nika Ashley Ramlagan, Carolyn Mary Agnata, Diana Maliki, Nicole Ray Salvato, Diana Santos Luis, Samantha Fu, Daniel John Higgins, Michelle Lauren Kakuza, Samira Admani, Christopher Jandro, Joanne Paula de Luna Yabao, Caitlin Arrigeta, Donna Alexandra Bucaro, Carolyn Brito, Unique David Arole, Kevin Gabriella Wayne, Evan Wu, David Robert DeLuca, Sean C. Hutton, Hillary Douglas Ruby, Michael David Hughes, Richard Vu, Renee Storinsky, Lukasz Misic, Jordan Vincent Dupuy, Umberto Annunziata Jr., Kwesi Deming, Ketevan Juliashvili, Haini Wang, Jonathan Jeffrey Prasinski, Scott Robert Coloma, Tiffany Vanessa Maddox, Kevin Brooks, Tara Ann Stafford, Stephanie Lynn Vedral, Joanna Fucci, John Alex Hugh Sinisa, Michael Andrew Peralta, Nicholas Bendros, Angelica Monica Lazar, Jared Michael Frere, Juan Camilo Moncada, Ana de Martino, Nicholas Buffet, Christopher Richard Moran, Robert Joseph Zaluga, Anthony James Cramen, Andrew Weinstein, Ryan O'Shaughnessy, Scott Thomas Watson, Christopher Peter Pizes, Christine Marie Watton, Christina Lee Baker, Monica Lisa Safa, Kayla Elise Miatvet, Nicholas Louis Sartori, William J. D. Keller III, Travis Dillon Tassoni, Andrew Kreiner, Alexander Kukar, Catherine Keith Byron, Jonathan Harrelaw, Jamel Devin King, Brittany Kanisha Morris, Gabrielle Amanda Pallam, Jennifer Reed Pettigrew, Brittany Marie Hammer, Roberta Felipe, Frank DeRose, Andrew Masura, Beverly Macarius, Irene Ezerique, Alexis Mazonet, Matthew John DiLorenzo, Gary Loma, Peter George Nanas, Travis Roberts, O'Brien Quartuccio, Douglas Shaw, Stephanie White, William Anthony Young, Clinton Rex, Joseph Miller, Peter Nathaniel Smith, Caitlin Ann Caffey, Leah Joyne Bevilacqua, Andrew Dennis Welker, Yusuf Yesuf, Joseph James Korcher, David Scott Naftali, Andre S.C. Elliott, Mark Vincent Parisi, Stefano Carmelo Durso, Yasher Abrahimzadeh, Nicholas Vanderlinden, Joseph Rocco Pecoraro, Vincent Anthony Lavasco, Diana Topchevsky, Matthew Maggi, Helder da Silva, Adriana Lucio Gabriele, Hao Deng, Dave Pasquale Campanile, Nicole Sada, Amanda Wong, Matthew Chester Wisniewski, Louis Nathaniel Bromberg, Jake Nolan Forshey, Susanna Marie Sclafani, Kayla Catherine Vishel, Stephen Freitas, Daniel Katz, Evan Andrew Giordano, Kelsey Silvana Lazario, Stephanie Andrea Segovia, Erin Maureen Tabridi, Megan Locker, Tamar Ali, Timothy Patrick Eisenhart, Michael Boraska, Kyle Layden, Christopher Morello, Vitaly Derish, Alexander Barth, Colton James Ferber, Nicholas Roberto, Alexander Craig Bettick, Stephen Paramo, Benjamin Canning, William Scott Kim, Ian Baker, Christopher Theobald, David Valderramo Valerio, Matthew Nguyen, Danny Lewis Ribeiro, Anthony Jules Molesworth, Anna Negron, Anthony Louis Krishy, Brian Patrick Bourne, Ricardo A. Munoz, Stephen Trulos, Mark Vigiano, Anthony Napoli, Brendan Papito Suarez, Brianna Hammer, Emily Alahi, Alexis Borges, Christian Werner Mayo, Wendy Antilli, Yolesta Massey, Connor Patrick Hurley, Jeffrey Aiello, Douglas Francis DeMarco Jr., Joseph Rena Jr., Antonio Bonkowski, Jeffrey Montero, John Gerard Cirillo Jr., Nicholas Anthony Costa. Congratulations, graduates. Finally, we welcome candidates from the John C. Whitehead School of Diplomacy and International Relations. These candidates will be greeted by His Grace Archbishop Myers, Mr. Robert Boodleman, member of the Board of Regents, President Gabriel Esteban, and Ambassador Thomas Milady, interim dean of the school. At the far end of the stage, candidates will also be greeted by Mr. James Orsini, member of the Board of Regents and president of the Seton Hall University Alumni Association. Kumars Ahmed, Roman Koiko, Jeffrey Alexander Pilhauer, Patrick Daly, Jr., Thomas Francis Garofalo, Cara Cordero Martinez, Asari Nicole Amador Roquia, Kellyanne Freeman, Clara Patricia Brunkhorst, Catherine Kraus, Andrea Schuba, Mary Arcila, Jessica Tatiano Tamayo, Erandi Trevino, Carolyn Allison Schwartz, Erin Tuit Lee, Mirella Munkan, Maura Breslin Kolkmeyer, Cameron Alexander Brown, Gafele Thomas, Aaron Dean Frank, Thomas J. Polizos, Kristen Elizabeth Villosa, Hawa Almatu Silla, Alyssa A. Mullen, Cassie C. Denbo, Gabriela Valenti, Haley Jean Strominger, Jennifer A. Llewellyn, Karina Kine, Victoria Gould Hafner, Daniel Marco Grimm. Alexandra Michelle Matthews. Yasmin Aslami. Aya Kalinkova. Brittany Harris. Shanae M. Jones. Mary Magdalene Constantine. Alice Thine. Corey Anthony Madonna. Alexander Philip Grobois. Marjorie Rajan Brajon. Sagarika M. Gujar. Nora R. Rivera. Karina Chin. Catherine May Trinchera Lagua. Elena Marie Montagnino. Michael Paul Brown. Ekaterina Oshepkova. Jessica Surial. Lorena Rodriguez. Aramide Afalabi. Congratulations, graduates.
Thank you, Dr. R. We now come to the heart of the ceremony, the conferral of degrees. All degree candidates will please rise. Monsignor James Cafone, member of the Board of Regents, will now come forward and confer these degrees. Monsignor, on behalf of Seton Hall University, I certify that the candidates whose names are hereby submitted have satisfied all the requirements to participate in the 2013 Baccalaureate Commencement exercises. I ask that those who have completed all degree requirements be hereby granted their degrees. Monsignor Cafone.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Regents of Seton Hall University, for those who have completed all their degree requirements, I hereby confer on them the degrees for which they have been recommended by their respective deans, with all the rights, privileges, and obligations thereunto appertaining. In my name, and in the name of the Board of Regents, may I offer you our sincere congratulations.
Thank you, Monsignor. Please remain standing. As a symbol of your graduation, please move your tassels from right to left on your caps. As a memento of this occasion, please keep your caps as well as the tassel. Congratulations to all new graduates of Seton Hall University and to their families. Please be seated. Mr. Bradley Brennan Childs, a summa cum laude graduate from the Stillman School of Business, a recipient of the Marketing Honor Citation, and a participant in the Business Leadership Program, will deliver the valedictory address. Mr. Childs.
$1,359 days of wondering if we would make it to this day. Today marks the culmination of our 1,359-day journey. We are the graduating class of 2013. Fellow graduates, join me in welcoming our esteemed guests, Archbishop Myers, Dr. Arcus, Father Kerr, members of the Board of Trustees, members of the Board of Regents, President Esteban, Senior Associate Provost Getty, members of the Executive Cabinet, deans, faculty, families, and friends. Graduation is one of those awkward times in our lives when we are torn between the joy of our memories and the excitement of our future. Should we focus on the past, the times filled with joy from the boisterous sounds of that first spring day out on the green, the aroma of chicken finger day in the cafeteria, the resounding ring of the university bells, or the calmness of the chapel? Or instead, should we focus on the next stage in this journey called life? We've been impatiently waiting for this day for 4 years, and now we want to hit pause. We want to slow it down and enjoy the last fleeting moments. Our lives will forever be altered after we toss our caps into the air. We entered the loving confines of our beloved Seton Hall University 4 years ago as an unwritten book, eager to fill the pages. It seems like just yesterday we were lugging our countless bags into Boland. It seems like just yesterday we had orientation and had the pleasure of doing uncomfortable icebreakers together. We walked onto campus for the first time as students in the fall of 2009, with a gloomy world around us, stricken by a global recession. As the months passed, we grew, and we learned to not allow external circumstances to define us. That's right, my colleagues. Our book would be written on our own terms. The friends we sit with today became additions to our family and are undoubtedly some of the main characters in our book of life. We grew up together in South Orange, and at times in Hoboken and New York City. Our campus provided us not only with a place to learn, but a true home. We were fortunate to experience what the phrase emblazoned on that acceptance letter we received truly means. We learned what a home for the mind, heart, and spirit meant in its full reality. The diploma that we receive represents success and achievement, but we must remember more the journey that accompanied this achievement, both the heartache and the happiness. The diploma itself is gently tucked away in the appendix of our book, while the journey to attain it fills pages. We are now set to begin the next chapter in our book. Our book will veer off from the outline we've created, for therein lies the beauty of our journey. Seton Hall has instilled in us a tremendous fire, a passion for life, and a desire to make the world in which we live better. We owe it to each other, our family, our professors, our university, our country, and our God to pursue our wildest dreams. Our professors and classmates have pushed us to the brink for 4 years. As graduates of Seton Hall University, we can do anything. In the words of the great Henry Ford, whether you think you can or think you can't, you are right. So, class of 2013, let us commit ourselves to the belief that we can accomplish anything. With this belief, our book is destined to be a bestseller. We came onto campus 4 years ago with different backgrounds and different life experiences. We leave this campus 1,359 days later as a collective unit. We are the class of 2013. No matter the school we come from, whether nursing or theology, business or education, diplomacy or arts and sciences, we are all members of this one university community. Let us put aside the joy of our memories and the excitement of our future for the time being. For as Mother Teresa said, be happy in the moment. That's enough. At this moment, we are in absolute bliss. We are all Seton Hall University pirates, and it does not get any better than that. God bless St. Elizabeth Ann Seton. Pray for us.
Thank you, Mr. Childs. It is now my pleasure to welcome to the podium Mr. James Orsini, President of the Seton Hall University Alumni Association, who will welcome the class of 2013. Mr. Orsini.
My fellow pirates, as president of the Alumni Association representing more than 90,000 graduates of Seton Hall University, welcome to the Seton Hall University Authentic Network. Together we represent tens of thousands of servant leaders. The Seton Hall University Alumni Network, for the most part, is home to representatives in business, in sports, government, education, law, finance, healthcare, media, clergy, armed forces, and many other fields. Today, you join those ranks. A few years back, for the Princeton Business Journal, I wrote an article on this authentic network. The inspiration for the piece was a Kevin Spacey movie, Pay It Forward. Some of you may recall the movie. Kevin played a teacher and asked his class for an idea that could change the world. One student came up with the Pay It Forward idea, doing a random act of kindness for a stranger, and in turn, asking that they not repay, but simply do the same for 2 or 3 others. The ripple effects were visible, motivating, and energizing. For the past 2 years, I've challenged the Alumni Board to help in this networking process. I've inspired them to move beyond introduction, presentation of one person to another, and into expectation, prospect of a future good. I have asked them to network our SHU alumni to impart and impact. In imparting, they should communicate the information to give, and impacting have a profound effect on all that they touch. I have been fortunate in recent months to share this same concept with more than 200 student leaders and nearly 100 seniors and recent grads. As you enter life post-graduation, you will face challenges. The unemployment rate for recent college grads nears 13% now. Fortunately for you, SHU grads find employment at a 15% better rate than the national average. There you go. Enough said. This is not enough, though. There will come a time in the not too distant future when you will need the help of someone in this authentic network. My hope is that you run across someone who has experienced this pay-it-forward concept. Someone who reaches out to help, not because there's something in it for them at that moment, but rather they're willing to help simply because they're in a position to do so. We have shared countless inspirational stories at each of our board meetings over the past 2 years where this has in fact come to pass. Stories that warm our hearts and inspire us all to do more. As a servant leader, we need you in the game. We need you to offer your time, your treasure, your talent back to the university and this alumni network. I will assure you, you too will find yourself in a position someday to pay it forward. And I ask that you do just that. Help us to change the world. You have the power. I look forward to our continued dialogue as alumni and your continued support of this great university. God's blessings upon you. Go Pirates.
Thank you, Mr. Orsini. We are coming to the end of the commencement ceremony. Oh, and I must ask you to give me your attention for 10 seconds so that we can all leave speedily and safely. After the singing of the alma mater, please be seated for the exit of the dais party and our students. We ask guests to exit the arena from the upper concourse gates. Robes may be returned just outside the entrance to the arena on the front plaza. Please remember that you are welcome to keep your tassels and caps. It is tradition that we end our commencement ceremony with a singing of the alma mater. It is my pleasure to welcome again Mr. William Torres, who will lead us in the singing of our alma mater. The words and music are in the back of the program. Please rise for the singing of our alma mater. Thank you.
For she